two, the college football playoff stage is set. Of course, after championship weekend, Alabama in the number one spot, they will be taking on number 4 Cincinnati, who got in. We're so proud of them. And number 2 Michigan will face number 3 Georgia. Alabama right now the 13.5-point favorite, while Georgia is also the 7.5-point favorite in their game. I think the committee got it right. Round of applause to Cincy. I have no problem with Bama jumping Michigan. Honestly, I would love to see a Bama-Michigan national championship game. I think I said it on the show. Georgia didn't seem to play any teams this season that really challenged them in the way that Bama was going to, and it definitely showed over the weekend. So, Archie, looking at this, what are your thoughts?
Well, I first want to start with Georgia and Michigan because I think that could be a Goliath versus Goliath type matchup.
Oh, yeah.
Both teams are really, really, really strong defensively. In fact, all 4 of these teams are statistically really, really good defensively and have playmakers upon playmakers in the defensive backfield as well as on the line. So all 4 of those teams are going to bring some kind of thunder on that side of the ball. The offenses are obviously very, very different for each. And I think Georgia sort of got proven to be a little bit more of what we sort of thought that they should be throughout the season. They just never played a team that could take advantage of them offensively. Remember on the show we talked about Alabama being a 6.5-point underdog, and we thought, no, put money on Bama.
Nah.
Even though I thought Georgia would win the game, I thought Alabama would easily cover. You just don't bet against Nick Saban. So
Nope.
I'm really interested in Georgia, Michigan, because I think that's going to be a really, really, really close game because I don't know offensively what Georgia's going to be able to figure out over the next month that they already don't have figured out in their back pockets now. I mean, Stetson Bennett the 4th, he's fine, but he's been the same quarterback all season. He wasn't going to get better. He's a game manager, and when he has to go win the game, he doesn't do it. He can't do it. That's not his skill set. Alabama, Cincinnati. Let me say this first, Cincinnati. I'm rooting like hell for you, okay? I want you to make this game close, and I want you to win this game because I wanted to put all of the naysayers out of their misery when it comes to the group of 5 teams can't compete with the Power 5 teams and don't deserve to be in this playoff.
Yeah.
That said, Alabama's going to murder them. You cannot give Nick Saban a month to prepare for anybody. If he gets a month to prepare for anybody, he beats them by 3, 4, 5 touchdowns. It doesn't matter who it is. Like it's happened against really good teams and against not so good teams. So I feel bad for Cincinnati because they're in a bad spot. If they had the 2 weeks in between to go from the semifinal to the final, maybe, but not the month, not the month in between. That's really a bad spot and too bad for them. So early looking ahead, I'd go ahead and load up on Alabama because they're going to muck duck them big time.
Yeah. Love you, Cincy, but I don't know that it's going to go well for them in this one, especially like you said, when you give Nick Saban a month to prepare for a game. Michigan, Georgia is going to be obviously the one that is going to spark my attention. I, again, just don't think Georgia had enough true tests during the season and kind of like they didn't have an easy schedule, but they kind of were able to coast a little bit. And Bama being their first test, I think Michigan has definitely had some more challenging games in their season. So that's going to be appointment television for sure.
I think this does work out well for Georgia in one respect, which is they get this loss now. They get humbled a lot of bit by a really good Alabama team with all that kind of talent. And maybe now those who maybe have sniffing themselves a little bit can regroup, sort of figure out who they actually are, what they were not doing as well as they should have been doing, and be ready for their semifinal matchup coming up in a month. And then if they get that rematch with Alabama, they'll have less time sort of in between the games and maybe be able to be a little better for it. So I liked it better that Georgia if they lost this SEC championship game than opposed to they won it and Alabama maybe snuck in as the number 4, then they would have gotten murdered.
I was just going to ask 2 questions for you. Is this how you would have ranked the teams?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I would have liked Cincinnati 3 because I feel like undefeated means something still to me. Because do you know how many undefeated teams were in college football this season?
1?
Just Cincinnati. So I feel like that means something. That means something to me. But I understand why they would keep Cincinnati where they were, even though they beat Houston by 15.
A lot of people thought Michigan should have been first. Yes or no?
I agree. I think Michigan was a team that deserved to be first based on especially the caliber of competition they beat in the last couple of games. I mean, Iowa's no slouch, and they just ran right through them, especially in the fourth quarter. They put that game way out of reach. Really proved my plus 11 wrong there for Iowa. So I think Michigan is a really, really good team and deserved it based on just going with the most recent victory. I think that win, for me, was a little more impressive than Alabama going from 3-1 to sit there and put Michigan all the way up to 1. I would have done it.
All right, and before we go to our game of the day, what is your prediction for the national championship? Who will we see?
I think it's going to be Alabama, Michigan. I think it is.
All right, I'm right there with you. I would love that.